Negativity is a fickle mistress, and even though on the interwebs we might be thinking we're knocking something down, but in turn, maybe we're actually rising it up by accidentally marketing to certain people. Now, before I get into inner workings of my rant on negativity and what I think about negativity for Flesh and Blood TCG, specifically revolving around MTG players and talking about Flesh and Blood, I want to say this in the beginning, man. I am passionate about Flesh and Blood. I love the game. I also love Magic the Gathering. I have fond memories. I have cards. I have cards of both games. I love both games. It's not like I'm bashing any which one thing. I'm just analyzing what's happening around in the Flesh and Blood TCG market. And I do see something that revolves around Magic the Gathering players. So I thought of making a video around it, talking about negativity of Magic the Gathering players towards Flesh and Blood. But I want to say in the beginning, I love both games. I think both the games are great. I think they're going to be around for a very, very, very long time, regardless of anything. So I just want to put that out there. Now, in the end of 2020, Flesh and Blood has gotten a lot of flack from a lot of different sources, from a lot of different people who say, man, this game is too expensive. I can't get into this game. And a lot of them are other TCG players trying to, come in, and a lot of them are Magic the Gathering, including myself. I was in that boat. I came over to Flesh and Blood earlier on in 2020, but a lot of people are coming into the game, or people are in Magic the Gathering currently and saying, "Man, I don't want to do that. It looks like just an investment thing. This is not for me." Or for any type of reason, Magic the Gathering players don't want to touch Flesh and Blood. They don't want to be in it. I respect it, man. If it's not for you, it's not for you. I respect your opinion regardless. If Flesh and Blood's not for you, that's fine. But I've seen and I've heard of other people talking. I don't know how much this happens, but I've heard a lot of people say that Magic the Gathering players, some of them, not all, but some of them are posting things and putting stuff out there and talking about Flesh and Blood in a negative light. And they say, you know what? That game, too much investing in that. There's no way that thing's going to last. Or, oh, that game isn't as good as Magic the Gathering and blah, blah, blah. And I'm telling you this, man, both games can exist at the same time. I play tons of different games at the same time. And I think that you can play both games at the same time, but I've seen a lot of negativity. And even though what's funny to me, what's really funny is that negativity could be seen as negative, but when you're posting on social media and you're on your Facebooks, you're on your Twitters, your Instagrams, whatever platform you're saying, and you see Magic the Gathering players who do not like Flesh and Blood post and they're upset and they'll say, "Hey, Flesh and Blood isn't gonna make it. It's not for me," and all this stuff. Guess what, man? When you see that, there's a lot of eyeballs on that post, and when you see a lot of emotion and a lot of that kind of stuff, it's really fuel for people to think, "Huh, well, if he's so hot and bothered about it, maybe there's something to this game." So then they check it out, and then they check out Flesh and Blood. They're like, "Hey, I kind of like this. This is for me." But the whole point of me making this video, and the whole point of this is maybe the negativity revolving of Flesh and Blood around, in 2020, and we'll probably see more in 2021. Now it's January 2021. I think negativity could be good for Flesh and Blood. I think any Magic the Gathering player who is trash talking Flesh and Blood could be really good for the game. It could be great for Flesh and Blood. So I'm kind of in a pickle because I don't like seeing those types of posts myself because I love Flesh and Blood. I'm passionate about it, but maybe it's good. Maybe it's a great thing. Maybe the angst and the frustration and all that type of stuff from really frustrated Magic the Gathering players is good for Flesh and Blood, and that's kind of like a mind fuck for me because I'm thinking, man, I mean, all this stuff that we've seen and I particularly am like, oh, this isn't good for the game. I'm worried. Oh no, I don't like this being posted and whatnot. It could be the best marketing for Flesh and Blood. One of the biggest reasons Flesh and Blood could succeed in the future is from negative comments and interactions with Flesh and Blood. And I just wanted to put this theory out there because I thought it was a really fascinating topic that negative media is fueling the success of Flesh and Blood. And honestly, at the end of the day, Flesh and Blood is going to succeed at the end of the day for the reason that it's a really damn great game. It's a great game. It's a lot of fun to play. The lore, the artwork, I've given you the whole spiel. It has the full package in my mind, and it's going to succeed regardless. But maybe all this negative media is great for the game. Maybe it's propping it up, even though it's meant to slam it down. When you are a Magic the Gathering player or any type of person, the Magic the Gathering community, and when you post things, well, you're posting and other Magic the Gathering people follow you. So literally your target market for Flesh and Blood is 100% or near that. I mean, what, 90-80% of the people who are following you on whatever program are probably interested in TCGs. So they, a subsect of them might check out Flesh and Blood and like the game and be like, hey, this is great. I don't know why they didn't like it, but hey, I love it. So here I am. And it's just fascinating to me that that could be happening in the background, and we will never really know about it until far out in the future. But when this really gets analyzed at a higher level, once all the pieces have fallen down, and if you listen to me this far in, another thing that I've noticed about this theory, and at first when I was thinking about the negativity of Flesh and Blood, I kind of had the aspect of, if you've ever seen that meme of the ex-girlfriend kicking their ex-boyfriend out of the apartment, right? And there's two pictures. One is neatly organized clothes, right, of the ex-boyfriend, and the caption is like, she's completely done with him. This is over. She methodically, neatly organized. There's no emotion there. It is over. But then on the other side of the picture, it shows just this all these clothes and items strewn out around the lawn of this house, and it's the caption is like, there's something there. She could want him back because there's a lot of emotion in trying to, just get rid of his stuff and just throw it out. There's a lot of emotion there, and I feel like the same thing is in effect for this with Magic the Gathering players who don't like Flesh and Blood. And like I said earlier, man, I totally respect your opinion, but I'm just saying the negativity of the posts and all the interactions on the interwebs. That negativity, that huge ball, could be this huge oil, huge fuel source for Flesh and Blood because it gets more people, eyeballs, onto the game because they see those posts, they see those interactions, and even though a lot of them might be like, "Yeah, I totally agree with this," there also might be a lot of people who say, "Huh, what's Flesh and Blood?" And then they Google it and they find Flesh and Blood and they check out the game, and you could be recruiting a lot of people through negative interactions. And a big thing to note, man, is Rudy, the man himself, Taco Man. I love him. He's a great guy. He's been very nice to me. I I also have a conspiracy theory at the end here, is that he has said multiple times, and there's a lot of videos where he said that the negativity of the Magic the Gathering community fueled his channel's growth and it made his channel popular because that negativity was great marketing for his channel overall. And it's been known many times that James White, the CEO and founder of Flesh and Blood, talks to Rudy, and Rudy's the biggest hype man for Flesh and Blood. So, how likely is it that this is all part of the plan, man? This is all part of the plan that Rudy has heard all this stuff in the past and he knows that Magic the Gathering community online and the negativity and the frustration is a great marketing tool that can be utilized for Flesh and Blood. And I know that's a big conspiracy theory, and I don't know if I'm right or not around there. And uh, it's just an interesting thing to note that I see in the current environment. And let me just sum up this whole video is that there is negativity in the Flesh and Blood community from Magic the Gathering players that I've heard about. And I don't know how much of it there are. Everybody's been hearing that there exists, but I don't know how often it exists. And please comment down below if you've seen it. I've just heard from other people that it exists. Maybe it's a standalone complex. Maybe it's just a rumored thing of a rumored thing, and everybody, all the people just say it's a rumor and it really doesn't exist as much. Maybe it's a whole facade. Maybe it doesn't exist at all. Who knows, man? But I can tell you this is that overall, I love Flesh and Blood, but I also like Magic the Gathering. I'm a collector. Both games are great. It's no big deal. But I have seen different things and I've heard that Magic the Gathering players, some of them, have negative feelings towards Flesh and Blood and publicly post it online. And my theory is that these posts are highly effective at marketing Flesh and Blood to people who are interested in trading card games. And I think that that fuel of negativity by by current Magic the Gathering players could be a huge fuel source and huge thing that's fueling Flesh and Blood's growth in 2021 and going into the future. Because, like they say, like the thing is any press is good press. It's a common saying, and maybe it's true here, and maybe there is something to that. You'll have to let me know down below. I'm kind of curious on what other people think. This is a fringe type of theory and conspiracy theory, but knowing what I know and from listening to Rudy in the past, I remember a lot of times he said Magic the Gathering community, the negativity kind of fueled his things. So I really wouldn't be surprised if this is the play long term and if we do hear about this in a couple months or years down the road that was a really big pinnacle moment for the game. But anyway, let me know what you think, man. I know this is a interesting theory here today, and again, I don't mean to. I'm not bashing anyone. I'm not trying to stir any emotion, or maybe I am. maybe maybe I am trying to piss a couple people off to get negative marketing for myself. You'll never know. But that is it's a very interesting topic with negative marketing, and who knows, does it exist, does it not exist? It's a very, very cool subject that I love to think about. Well, take care, guys.